Yeah, good morning everyone. We are back out on the Yorkshire coast. Looking quite hot and sticky, I imagine already, even though it's only about 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a sticky hot day. We're due to be in the mid-20s up to the almost 30 degrees by midday. So it's going to be warm, it's going to be sticky. We've got lots of fluids, lots of lightweight clothing, so hopefully it should be fine. But we are out at my favorite location on the coast. We are at Ravenscar. It is a pain in the butt to get to midsummer. It's not easy at the best of times midwinter, but midsummer is even more challenging. If you go down the front, you have to contend with super slippery rocks. You come down through the ferns, they're all head height and full of ticks. So yeah, if you can't come in this way in summer, just be super careful, and I would say use your common sense, but if in doubt, pick a different beach. So yeah, there's lots of bits that have fallen through the last little bit, looking at the cliffs here with all the high temperatures. So we'll get scrounging, get finding, and be back with you as we get stuff. Yeah, tough to say if that one's been dug out or if it's just washed out, but it's a good reminder that nodules and fossils in the bedrock here are all protected. It's a triple SI, so leave the bedrock in peace, leave the cliffs in peace, and there's plenty to pick up loose. Yeah, a few nodules of things that have fallen out the cliffs. That one, whilst it looks promising, you can see it's all collapsed and it's crushed in the middle, so yeah. A few nodules to tap and explore, one just to show off. Sadly, middle's already blown out, so that will stay here, but it was just nice to see. Things like this, probably not worth tapping because you can already see the ammonite all around. The little thing will probably explode if I tap it. Not very heavy, so it can go in the bag. And we'll tap the rest down and see if there's anything good. A bit of everything to show off, so DAC. Whoop. That's a bit exploded. This is a double Perinoceros, but I'll leave this and pick this up on the way back through. Someone else might have it before we get back, but yeah, sadly, typically in the Ravenscar way, they split badly, but there's potential for that. And then the last one I've just split, there's a bit of fish bone within it. So yeah, a few bits and pieces already, but only one that might go in the bag, but we will see. Can you see what I'm looking at? There's a few very flat DACs at the top there, but this is the big thing. That's a kill of a Hilby. It's in the bedrock, so it's protected. I'm not going to be digging out. My suspicion is anyway that it's in the shale, so it will not have a middle even if we were to dig it out. So it can stay there. Next people who come along hopefully can enjoy it too. Yeah, some really interesting big chunks of ammonite just coming out of one of these falls. I'm going to assume that they're Hogia based on size and shape, but they might be even higher up, in which case I don't know what they would be. Sadly, do not go back together, and there's no more of it, so they will be left here unless we find the rest. But yeah, we'll keep looking. This is what makes Ravenscar interesting, is we've got all the usual things like DACs and Perinoceros, but there's an upper layer or an upper set of layers where we do get some really rare things, at least for Yorkshire. And so that's what we're trying to find, is some of those goodies today. Yeah, I've made my trip already. I do love a fat DAC, and that is, one chunky fat DAC. It's a Catacelasaurus, and it's just a beautiful example. Hopefully that is all there. A nice little shell on that side too. But yeah, that is special. So very, very happy with that. I just seen this bit of keel here and then looked and saw it looked pretty flat, so I gave it a tap, not expecting very much, and yeah, that's actually pretty good. There's another little one there that's exploded as it split. But yeah, as far as DACs out of Ravenscar go, that's pretty darn good. Yeah, it may not be easy to convey, but it is roasting today. It is so warm. In some ways it's a pleasant change from the ice and snow that we see here in winter, but it does make transitioning across the bay is incredibly difficult, especially with the amount of green slime that there is, as you can see across all the boulders. But now in the second bay, starting to look through the usual things for things like the Gramo blocks, and yeah, there's been one there, fairly fresh out by the looks of it. So there's one up there, keel bit there, another one there. So I'll put that in the bag as is. I think last time I tapped one of these, it exploded really badly and I regretted it, so we'll keep that one for now. If we get too many, then maybe we'll smack a few apart. Yeah, I hope this was something more exciting, but it's actually just a big belemnite fragment cone. So the belemnite would be sitting on this end, going that way, being pointy, and this is the segmented chamber at the end. Sadly, not exciting enough to take home. Classic Gramo block. It's exploded into lots of little bits. Some are alright, so there's not a bad one there. This one's okay too, but not sure it's worth hauling out with the heat today, but we'll have a look at it when we come back through. Just a worn gramo to show off. There is not an awful lot on the beach at the minute that is fresh, short of stuff right under the cliffs, and there's been some cliff falls that you can hopefully just see at the bottom left of your screen there. But the seas are flat calm. Like, I have to even go down to see them. There you go. They're flat calm. There's been no wind. It's what happens in summer. You're kind of relying on fresh falls for anything, and it's a bit dangerous because of that. But we'll keep working through. There's going to be something amongst all these rocks, so we'll just keep looking and hope we find some more goodies. The problem is I started too strong. That cat was special. Oh, decent little gramo just being popped. It is quite nice going slower through this stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot less chance of something truly spectacular, but you see a lot more of the little things, and sometimes that is nice as well. It is also saving me and my bag from being too heavy climbing back up that hill. Yeah, some days we don't show off many of the bad splits, but that's unfortunately a pretty bad one. Yeah, it was a fairly decent sized hildy, right in the middle of a nodule, but slightly on the angle. Hit it and yeah, just gone. Not worth rescuing, I don't believe. Some people might, but for me, not so much. So we'll keep looking. Just a partial little hildy to make up for the last broken one. Sadly, not a spectacular one. Yeah, it's not going to win any prizes. It's the most pretty thing I ever found, but yeah, it's not bad, and should be fairly quick to prep those last little bits off. Yeah, there we go. It's been sufficiently long since I was last here. I can't remember how much of this is fresh or old. I think some of it is fresh, at least, but this is pretty much all gramo level beds, and so after we get a few winter storms come through, this should push all this out, and hopefully we'll get a few nice gramo blocks coming out of it. But what it does mean is they're covering over the Haugia beds, and there's nothing fresh coming out of those, or at least not on this section. I'm told there's been some Haugias come out, but my suspicion is they're over in that first bay. But yeah, not a lot else to show off from this bay. It's been a little sparse, but not super surprising when you look at the amount of greenery on everything and the lack of big seas turning it all over. But we'll keep looking as we go back, and we'll drop down from the Haugia beds down through the cat beds and the porpoisurus beds, and see if we can find any of those as we go. And if not, we're back in the first bay and keep looking for some goodies over there. Yeah, there's some big Haugia chunks in that first bay, and that's a pretty big chunk of one here. I've actually, funnily enough, seen another one on the other side, although I'm not convinced that's Haugia. Might be a really big piece of gramo. Yeah, that might actually just be a really big chunk of gramo. But yeah, plenty of bits around. Bits are all we've got though. Nice tease. One more little gramo for the bag, nothing super special. Keel visible at that side, so that's all there. Obviously outer wall's a bit broken with that edge, but should be okay. Take it nice and easy and light. Yeah, just to show you how big Haugias can get and why I'm still chasing a beautiful big one, is this is part of one here. So I've got one edge of a whirl here at the very top, and all the way down through there'd be the middle would have been here. And the bottom edge of a biggest whirl is out down here. So give you the size of my hammer. It's yeah, a fairly big ammonite that would have been there. And so it's a Haugia that size is what I'm still chasing. I've got my partial that I've had to do the little reconstruction on the outside, and a little small one that's complete, but we are still chasing the big one with the center. I'm also still hunting a nice blue white ammonite. There's a few different species. I've got no good ones. And there's a bit of a partial one sticking out just there where my toe is. So yeah, they're here, they're just teasing, and hopefully come winter we might have a bit more luck. You might tell that we're busy walking back through the bit between the bays and slowly mapping all the different rocks. So we're now in where you find the cats. So you can see that's a lovely imprint of one there. I don't know if that's been dug out or it's eroded out, but probably didn't have a middle preserved just because they're in the shale. But yeah, that's a sign that we're dropping down. So we're now below the Haugia beds, yeah, we'll start finding the hildies and things that you'd expect to find imminently as well. But there's a fair bit of travelling through this, still a little bit below or before the low tide, but it's just not worth trying to fight through all of this if we can scoot along the edge of the water, which is what we're trying to do. I suspect this is nothing, but it's just intrigued me enough with its limpets growing on top of it for me to just try and chisel it out. You probably will never see this footage if it is nothing, but gotta do it just in case. Frustratingly, it was an ammonite, one of the blue-white goodies, but it doesn't have a middle, and yeah, annoying, but it's good to see that I was still spotting them even in their craziest little bits. Just saw this little bit sticking out of it. Ooh, maybe a piece of bone. Sadly, it is not, it's just a piece of wood, but I was hopeful just from the shape that it might have been more exciting. Alas. But the thing that is more exciting is this, which you might just be able to tell. I mean, I only saw a little bit sticking out like that, just that very worn edge. So I gave it a tap and it split pretty much perfectly. Looks to be a little Perinoceras, but it might be a little Porpoceras. It needs a tidy for sure. But yeah, that's come out really nicely. I'm going to share a heartbreak with you. So you can see just in here there was a nice loose shale block. There was a little nodule just there that I dug out. Perfect shape. Hit it, and yeah, it was actually a pseudo. If I'd looked really closely at it, I might have seen the keel running on the edge, but I didn't. So I tapped it, and yeah, it's exploded, and there's no saving that. That's a heartbreak. That would have been a beauty. My fault. Yeah, cheering myself up, tapping some things to prove I'm not completely incompetent. So just to prove a point, beauty of a split on that deck. Then there's a bit of what I think is Haugia, but it might be something else. It's just a partial though, and that's split. Okay, so not completely incompetent, just sometimes very incompetent at inopportune times. Still hunting a good philo, but it's a nice chunk. You can see the big leafy sutures. I always give it away. But alas, just a piece. Did a stupid thing. Found a big blue-white ammonite in one of the blocks on the way back, and this was the block that we've just been breaking down. This whole side here has come off to get it out, and yeah, I don't think it's got a middle, but I'm finding it really difficult to not take that back. I don't know. Very flat, unfortunately, because yeah, this bit's 3D, and then this is all flat. It is a gorgeous day. Yeah, it's still warm, but gorgeous, and yeah, I can't complain too much about what I found. I mean, my cat made the trip. It was one of the first things I picked up as well, so that was great. There were some more people down there by the time we came back. I didn't film much of them. But they found a little ichthyosaur tail, which was quite a nice find, but getting it out looked a bit risky for my liking. So left that to them. Came back, had that silly blue-white thing, which typically just no middle, just to tease. But yeah, building up the energy and cooling off just before we attempt the climb all the way back up the hill, and yeah, figuring out where we're going to get off to next. It may be back over there, which is Providence Bay and the Husker walk, but I do not know for sure, and yeah, we'll see when we get there. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.